Hello, welcome to the Council of First Ones, where we're discussing Kevin Smith's Revelations audio reveal on Valentine's Day to us. Talk about giving the fans a little taste of what is to come with Revelations. How did you guys like the transformation song?
Most of the time I was listening to it, I was thinking, Kevin, could you just be quiet a second? The rest of us want to hear this. Like he listened to like 3 seconds of it, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing." And I'm like, "No, Kevin, no."
Basically, I don't think like in the original Filmation it was He-Man, and in this one it's Oh Bear. It's like they're changing the name of it. It's not that's why it's not called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. It's Oh Bear and the Masters of the Universe Revelation. That's the revelation. It's Oh Bear.
Well, at least we got to hear the actual, voice actor for He-Man and Prince Adam. We heard him voice for the first time. I have the power.
Yeah, I actually, I've only heard fans of Power address it. I haven't really seen too much online of anybody else talking about it. Like obviously, when you gotta go within context of how that is set up, and unfortunately, we didn't have the context because Chris Wood doing, by the power of Grayskull. It's very like earnest, but at the same time you're like, that doesn't hit on any note from either John Irwin or Cam Clark. What are we doing here? But right. For my money, I'll throw this out there. For my money, when he hit "I Have the Power," I was cheering along with Kevin Smith on that one because I'm like, this is the part that's going to sell me. I hated the way Cam Clark did it in 2000X because it was too much, let's get ready to rumble. And John Irwin pretty much is the gold standard. So I'm like, okay, you have that amount of space between Cam Clark and John Irwin. Where are you going to fall here? Because you're not going to beat John Irwin probably. But you can do better than Cam Clark. And he hit it. When he hit power, I was like, whoo, yeah. I was like ready once he hit that word. It just boom, like roof was off the joint.
I was so amazed, and I know I saw on some of the Facebook chat, people are like, "Oh, it's not as good." I'm like, "This is just the score. They still have to overlay the special effects sounds and a few more tracks.
Yes,
give it all that strength that we are used to."
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that reminds me, he did say, let's see here, because later he did his show, let's see here, Scum and Villainy Quarantina, Fat Man Beyond, his show that he does. And he said, we've mixed episodes 1, 2, and 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I assume mixed. I assume he means like, the music. They know, they've kind of played around with the music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he said
music, the sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said the 4th episode is supposedly the most quote unquote metal out of the 4 episodes that they have that they're finalizing right now, as in the soundtrack and stuff. And I've heard a lot of people that they think the actual song is great and it's getting them pumped to see what else happens. And there's a lot of people who feel it's like a stock score that you could buy off a royalty-free website. So it's like the community, it's either, I don't know, I feel like it's 50-50 out of the responses that I've seen so far.
Right.
Of people. And like when I first heard it, I'm like, this is, 2000X broke the chain for me because I grew up with Filmation like everyone else. And then when 2000X hit, I was surprised by it not going as grandiose. It was kind of tempered and more like, okay, Lord of the Rings did it this way. We're going to try to keep it more like Lord of the Rings than worrying about it being a fanfare thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one though, I like hearing it, and I've listened to it like, I want to say I probably heard it like 20 to 30 times now, because each day I go, I want to hear it one more time. I'm getting used to it. I'm really, getting the feel of it. I like it. It's got this adventurousness to it, and it sounds like it's going to be heavier and darker than what we knew. And for it being aimed at our age group for adults, and they keep saying it's going to follow, the Filmation thing and all that stuff, and it leads into this, and it's like for it growing with the fan base like that, it works for me.
Yeah, it should be wonderful to see it all be tied together.
Without Aubert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and on the I wanted to
see it, we're going to be saying, where's the old bear in this? Because we've listened to this too many times.
Yeah.
So on the Revelation fans group, somebody posted a YouTube video where they isolate, that just the audio from that recording, and somebody tried to actually remove Kevin Smith's voice. I thought that was very interesting. So yeah, there's some fun things that the fans are already doing to try to really dig into that audio.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to mention that Sarah Michelle, who used to play Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she spoke briefly about her role voicing Tila in the upcoming series. Didn't really say much, but it was really fun to.
With Mario Lopez.
Right.
I mean, he did mess up Tila's position, because he called her Sergeant at Arms when she's the captain of the Royal Guard.
Right.
Yeah, for somebody who's like, I remember that show. It's like, yeah, you're not going to remember it right, but it's okay.
I mean, he didn't know.
He knew Ram Man. He at least dug into like some characters that weren't just He-Man or Skeletor, basically.
Well, he didn't know which character she would be playing as. So.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
He did go into some of the B-list characters, not just the
that's true.
main ones. So I give him kudos, because he's not been following along all these years.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just appreciate that he asked her the question about the show.
Well, that shows it's a little like who was it? Jimmy Fallon. When he brought up He-Man on his show, people were cheering, and it's like, there is that still. I feel like there's a goodwill out there for a lot of people that might not understand the community like us, because we are into it. We're excitable. We're those people about it. But the people that are on the outside and they casually know about this stuff, I think there's going to be a lot of goodwill going into those series, because you never know what to expect. And Netflix brings this stuff back, and it's like all of a sudden you can binge the heck out of it, and it's the biggest thing in the world for a week at least. I think that one will do pretty well once it hits, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still a little bummed that, about the whole thing with Kevin Smith announcing it as like, it's just going to be like the next episode of Filmation, and the character designs are going to be changing and all that stuff. And that's not true.
I never, even when he did that at PowerCon, I was like, there's no freaking way you're going to say everything is going to be, the way that we expect it. If you say it's going to be Filmation, there's a lot of reasons it won't work like that. But I took that as it's going to have the spirit of it, when he initially said it. But that's just me. So, but there are people that are getting upset about it now, and it's like, I can understand, because they're sold that bill of goods. And the other thing, I feel bad enough for Kevin Smith in some ways, because every single time he wants to talk about this, he's hamstrung. You could just tell he wants to blab the whole thing. And then it's like you have Mattel and Netflix both they're almost like the big Mafia Goomba guys behind them, kind of like, you can almost hear them cracking their knuckles behind them, going like, "You better not say too much here, Kevin." It's like it's that kind of thing.
Is that he was allowed to give us that sound bite of the score.
Yeah, I was shocked that they let it even go that far.
Well, he said on his show, he said, "I can't wait to show it to you. They'll tell me when that will happen soon. We're getting to a very important milestone in our production process. We're in a very excellent place."
So it might be a final approval for both Netflix and Mattel. They're seeing probably a rough cut or
I don't know.
Of an episode.
Something.
Okay. Because if they're getting to that point, we might be getting a teaser trailer then soon.
Well, at PowerCon last year, they did say they were going to try to do like a prequel comic series of some sort, like a mini series leading into it.
Well, I know that somewhat recently, I think, what was it, at PowerCon? Yeah, Kevin Smith helped announce the prequel for the Multiverse comic book series.
Okay. I thought it was for Revelation itself, because if they're doing that...
The way I interpreted it as that it was the prequel to set up Revelations.
Yeah, to kind of get the basis of what they're doing with that show. The way I'm looking at it is we're going to probably get a trailer when they finally do an announcement on that series. Because that series, you got to figure, is 3 months out from whenever they solicit it finally, because that's usually... when I worked at a comic shop, everything was about 3 months away when it was announced in the previews catalog from Diamond. So we haven't even gotten that yet. So here's a theory I have. Let me see what you guys think.
Oh, and real quick, yes, you're right. It turns out it was a prequel Revelation comic book series. It just so happened that he made the announcement during the multiverse panel. That's where the confusion was.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
I honestly keep wondering if they're going to premiere it at PowerCon. And then if you figure that, PowerCon's in September, that gives them until June to even put out a solicitation for that stuff. Maybe May at the very earliest. I don't know. I'm not going to say I have any information, but I just keep thinking it would not surprise me if that is like the big reveal they do this year at PowerCon, because this has been waiting 2 years in the making, and they announced it there. They'll premiere it there.
Well, at PowerCon last year, he said that the work on the show is 40 to 50% finished.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have every faith that it's going to be finished, fairly soon.
Well, and going by your logic, Shawn, if they're premiering it at PowerCon about 3 months before, and I'm actually going to say in July instead of June like you, because I see San Diego is earlier in July this year. That would be where they would drop the teaser trailer.
Yeah.
At San Diego Comic-Con.
That's the only thing I can figure. Because we're still waiting, and Mattel and Netflix is they're holding on to this thing so tight, and they're only giving we literally had a poster reveal at PowerCon and him basically announcing the series. We've had a cast list, and we've had the transformation music. Those are the big three that we've gotten to this point. So that's why I'm like, I bet that's how they're going to pull it off. And that, because Kevin Smith actually had a hand in putting PowerCon on the map once he did that announcement 2 years ago, going on 2 years ago now. It wouldn't surprise me if that's where they finally launch it, and just maybe they reveal the first episode or something. And then maybe like the next week or the next whatever, it'll be on Netflix to stream finally. But they're going to give you a special, like, okay, you can watch the first episode finally here at PowerCon or whatever.
Oh, at least maybe the first 10 minutes of the first episode or something.
Something, yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if they brought at least, like some of the core voice talent to it, and
Yeah.
then it still puts PowerCon out on the map. Still, it makes it a bigger event, and especially with it being a He-Man centric property, it's like, why wouldn't you do that? You know?
Can you imagine the panel for Revelation? How many celebrities they could pack into that panel?
Yeah, I mean, just if you think about it, you got Mark Hamill showing up alone. I mean, that would be enough to bring a decent amount of the fandom, who are probably Masters of the Universe fans as well. But you put like Chris Wood, Mark Hamill, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Lena Headey. I mean, I'm sure that room is going to be standing room only.
It's like the Avengers of voice acting.
Exactly. You get Kevin Conroy in there. I mean, dear Lord, you know. I mean, the place will be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, when they had Alan Oppenheimer there, and they've had him a couple of times. Every time it's standing room only in those panel rooms. You know, be there for a voice panel with all of them, and all the other voice actors will give him the stage, since he's the OG Skeletor, and he's also part of this series. If I remember, he's Mothman.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that alone, you're going to have standing room only with everybody.
Yeah. It's a theory. I'm not going to say I'm right, but every now and then I keep thinking about it. I'm like, I bet they're going to do something like that, because that would be the biggest news event for the year of He-Man related anything right now.
Well, and
So,
let's keep in the back. Of course, I'm sure is in what's in the back of our minds is, will there be a San Diego Comic-Con? Will there be a PowerCon?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so we'll see.
New York Toy Fair, which would have been this last. And
yep. And the what I've heard online is, yep, San Diego Comic-Con's next. Waiting for that announcement.
I am too, because I've been looking to see when they're opening up the press and teacher passes, and they're like, we're not sure yet. Because I've actually called, because California, the numbers are still extremely high.
And where's the vaccine?
I got
and that's wonderful that you did, yeah. And I know a couple people who have had their shots, but you know,
it's just so hard to get them.